My name is Megan Anderson. I was 32 years old, and for 3 years I had restored historic theaters during the day and accepted weekend inspection jobs at night to save for one trip to Iceland. The night before my flight, my mother called and said, "You have to watch your sister's kids." She did not ask. She told me that my sister had an emergency and expected me to cancel my prepaid reservations. When I refused, my father took the phone. "Family comes first," he said. "Cancel the trip." I looked at the suitcase beside my door and remembered every birthday, weekend, and opportunity I had surrendered because somebody else failed to plan. "No," I answered. "Not this time." An hour later, my sister texted that I was selfish, then added, "You'll change your mind when you see them." I assumed it was another threat meant to activate my guilt. At the airport the next morning, my parents called repeatedly, but I silenced my phone and boarded beside my closest friend. For the first time, I chose a promise I had made to myself. 7 hours later, our flight landed in Reykjavik. When I turned my phone back on, I had 38 missed calls from my parents, my sister, an unknown number, and the police department back home. My sister's final message contained 4 words: "They're at your door." What she had done turned a family argument into a child welfare investigation, exposed thousands of dollars in lies, and forced my parents to decide which daughter they were finally willing to hold accountable. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me where you are and what the weather is like there. I want to know how far my story can travel. I stood inside Keflavik Airport staring at my phone while travelers moved around me. My friend, Tessa Monroe, saw my face and took my suitcase. I opened the security camera app connected to my townhouse in Providence. The first recording had been captured at 8:14 that morning, less than an hour after I left for the airport. A dark SUV stopped outside my house. My older sister, Brooke Anderson, stepped out with her 8-year-old son, Caleb, her 5-year-old daughter, Sophie, 2 backpacks, a grocery bag, and a thin blanket. Brooke walked them to my porch, knocked several times, and looked directly into the camera. "Your aunt is inside," she told them. "She's probably in the shower. Wait here." Caleb pointed toward my empty driveway, but Brooke was already returning to the SUV. Before leaving, she placed an envelope beneath my doormat. The next recording showed Caleb knocking again, while Sophie sat on her backpack. It was 43 degrees, and they wore light jackets. 20 minutes later, Sophie began crying. Caleb wrapped the blanket around her and tried calling someone from a small tablet, but the battery died. My neighbor eventually noticed them, checked my windows, and called the police. Watching Caleb protect his little sister felt like being punched in the chest. Brooke had not merely asked me to babysit. She had tried to make my refusal impossible by abandoning her children at my locked home after I had already left the country. I called the officer who had left the voicemail. He confirmed that the children were safe. My neighbor stayed with them until police arrived, and Child Protective Services became involved after no legal guardian could initially be reached. My parents eventually appeared at the station, furious not at Brooke, but at me. My mother insisted there had been a misunderstanding. My father said I created the crisis by leaving after being warned that the children needed me. Then the officer asked where Brooke was. My parents claimed she was attending a mandatory conference in Boston, but Brooke had never mentioned it until the night before my flight. I called her, but she sent me straight to voicemail. I texted, "Where are you? Police found Caleb and Sophie outside my house." She replied, "I told you I needed help. You chose a vacation. Don't act shocked that there are consequences." Tessa, who worked as an insurance investigator, told me to save everything. While waiting for our rental car, we downloaded the security footage, captured every message, and created a timeline. I forwarded the files to the officer and the assigned child welfare caseworker. My mother called moments later. "You need to come home," she said. "Your sister is under enormous pressure." She left 2 children outside an empty house. "She believed you were still there." She watched me leave with my suitcase. My mother changed tactics. Caleb and Sophie are traumatized. Do you want them placed with strangers while you drive around Iceland? That sentence was designed precisely.